Have you ever noticed your feet or ankles feeling heavier, tighter, or more swollen than they used to? Especially as the years go by, a lot of people over 55 quietly assume it's just something they have to live with. Or worse, they worry something is seriously wrong. But what if part of the reason this is being talked about more today has less to do with aging itself and more to do with how modern daily habits are changing the way our bodies move fluid? If this sounds even a little familiar, you're not alone. And I'd love to hear in the comments whether you've noticed this happening more lately. In this video, we're going to gently unpack what's really going on, why stillness plays a bigger role than most people realize, and how small, everyday choices can quietly support comfort as we age. And there's one overlooked detail near the end that completely shifts how people think about circulation after 55. Stay with me. There's a quiet moment many people experience after the age of 55. When you take off your shoes at the end of the day and notice your feet feel heavier than they used to. Your ankles might look a little puffier. Your legs feel tired in a way that rest alone doesn't always explain. For some, it happens gradually. For others, it feels sudden, and almost everyone wonders the same thing in silence. Is this just aging, or is something wrong with me? What's important to say right from the start is this: you're not broken, and you're certainly not alone. Foot and ankle swelling is being talked about more today, not because people are getting sicker, but because lifestyles have changed dramatically, especially in the second half of life. Longer sitting hours, less casual movement, more screen time, and fewer built-in opportunities to stay active have quietly reshaped how our bodies experience circulation as we age. This conversation isn't about illness or fear, it's about awareness and understanding what's happening so people can feel calmer and more informed rather than anxious or confused. For decades, aging was often framed as something that simply happened to us. But public health discussions today are more nuanced. They focus less on age as a number and more on how daily patterns influence comfort, mobility, and long-term well-being. Swelling in the lower legs is a perfect example. It's not a personal failure. It's often a reflection of how modern routines interact with a body that's naturally changing over time. And once people understand that, a lot of unnecessary worry begins to fade. One of the most overlooked factors in this discussion is stillness. Not rest, but prolonged stillness. Sitting for long stretches, standing in one place for extended periods, and spending hours with very little lower body movement are now widely recognized in public health research as influencing circulation patterns. When we're younger, the body tends to compensate more easily. Muscles engage without much thought. Movement happens automatically throughout the day. As we get older, those unconscious movement patterns often disappear, especially after retirement or lifestyle shifts that reduce daily activity. Blood and fluid movement in the legs relies heavily on muscle action. The calves, in particular, play a supportive role in helping fluid move upward. When those muscles stay inactive for long periods, fluid can naturally settle in the lower parts of the body. This doesn't mean something is failing. It means the system is doing what physics allows it to do when movement decreases. Understanding this removes a lot of fear. It shifts the story from what's wrong with me to what has quietly changed around me. What's encouraging is that awareness itself is powerful. Many health conversations today emphasize modifiable habits, not as instructions or fixes, but as areas where small adjustments can make daily life feel more comfortable. This is where movement enters the conversation, and it's important to say this clearly. We're not talking about intense exercise, strict routines, or pushing through discomfort. In fact, much of the current healthy aging guidance highlights the opposite. Gentle, consistent movement is increasingly discussed as a supportive factor for circulation, especially in older adults. Things like light walking, simple leg motion, and regular position changes are often mentioned not because they cure anything, but because they help the body do what it already knows how to do. The idea isn't performance, it's participation, movement as part of daily life, not as a separate or intimidating task. This matters because many people stop moving not out of laziness, but out of fear. Fear of pain, fear of injury, fear of doing the wrong thing. When health messaging becomes extreme, people either overdo it or give up entirely. A calmer approach acknowledges that even small, low-impact movement can be supportive, especially when done regularly. That's why current discussions around longevity focus more on sustainability than intensity. What you can do comfortably, consistently, and safely tends to matter more than what looks impressive. Another piece of the puzzle that often gets ignored is stiffness. As we age, joints naturally lose some range of motion. Ankles, calves, and feet can become less flexible, especially if they're not used through their full movement regularly. This stiffness isn't just about comfort. It can subtly influence how fluid moves through the lower body. When joints don't move as freely, muscles don't engage as fully. And when muscles don't engage, circulation support becomes less efficient. This doesn't mean stiffness is something to fear. It's a signal, a reminder that mobility is something to care for gently over time, not something to panic about once it feels limited. Many people ignore early stiffness because it doesn't hurt. But awareness allows people to think long-term rather than reactively. That mindset shift alone can change how people relate to their bodies as they age. Hydration is another area where online advice has become confusing. Some voices say drink more water no matter what. Others warn against sodium as if it's always harmful. The reality, as discussed in responsible health education, is balance. Hydration isn't just about volume. It's about how fluids interact with the body as a whole. Drinking excessively without considering balance can feel just as uncomfortable as not drinking enough. And avoiding all salt without understanding context can create unnecessary stress. The key message from credible discussions today isn't rules, it's awareness. Paying attention to how the body responds, recognizing that needs can change with age, environment, and activity level, and avoiding extremes pushed by viral content. When people stop chasing one-size-fits-all advice and start listening more thoughtfully, they often feel more grounded and confident navigating health information. Supportive tools also come up frequently in conversations about lower leg comfort. Things like elevation, supportive wear, or short-term aids are often discussed as temporary helpers, not solutions, and that distinction matters. Tools can support comfort in the moment, but daily habits tend to shape long-term experience. Public health messaging increasingly emphasizes this difference to prevent people from relying solely on quick fixes while ignoring the patterns that matter most over time. This isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about understanding what helps temporarily and what contributes to overall resilience. When people see that difference clearly, they make choices from a place of empowerment rather than desperation, and that's a healthier place to be mentally and emotionally. All of these pieces come together in what many experts now call an active aging mindset. Not active as in athletic, but active as in engaged, staying connected to your body, making small choices that support comfort, letting go of unrealistic expectations. Aging well isn't about reversing time. It's about working with the body you have today and supporting it with consistency rather than intensity. What often surprises people is how much peace comes from understanding. When fear is replaced with context, when confusion is replaced with clarity, health stops feeling like a constant problem to solve and starts feeling like a relationship to maintain. That shift builds confidence. It reduces anxiety, and it encourages people to stay engaged with their well-being instead of avoiding it. As this conversation continues, more attention is being given to how small daily actions add up over years. Not overnight results, not dramatic transformations, just steady support for mobility, comfort, and independence. And that perspective is especially meaningful after 55, when people want reliability more than hype. If any part of this discussion felt familiar, you're not alone. Many viewers are navigating the same questions quietly. Sharing experiences helps normalize these conversations and reminds others they're not facing these changes in isolation. If this topic resonated with you, consider liking the video so it reaches others who might need reassurance, sharing it with someone who's been wondering about the same things, and leaving a comment about what you've noticed in your own daily life. Those shared moments help shape more honest, supportive health discussions for everyone. And as research and public awareness continue to evolve, there's more to explore about how everyday choices influence long-term comfort, especially in ways that are realistic, calm, and grounded in how people actually live. That's where we'll go next.